Let me go through some examples. We call them loyalty leaders. The first is a little company down in Atlanta. Actually, it's not a little company anymore. This was a tiny little fast food chain that I met 7 or 8 years ago, Chick-fil-A, headquartered in Atlanta. Now they're up to almost $2 billion in revenues, growing in a no-growth market. But what made them interesting is their store operators stayed for 20 years in the same job. That's 5% turnover rates. Why would you want to stay in the same fast food job for 20 years, I asked myself. I was trained at Harvard. What you learn at Harvard is you career surf your way to the top of organizations. You don't stay any one place because that would hold you back. Loyalty gets in the way of personal success. These guys obviously didn't go to Harvard because they're staying in the same place, so I call them. I worked fast food, by the way, in my summers in college, and don't these people have any ambition? Don't they have any alternatives with their lives? Call them and ask them why they're still there. Because we're proud to work in an organization that treats people the way we do at Chick-fil-A, and we make 3 or 4 times as much money as we would if we worked at the competition. And I say, oh, that is crazy, because the guy who, you know how price-sensitive fast food is? It's unbelievable. And the fellow who founded Chick-fil-A is a billionaire. It's not a public company, so he's built all 1,000 stores with his own cash flow. It's $1 million a pop. You can't become a billionaire, generating that kind of cash and overpay your most important employees by. And then I heard they actually close on Sundays. So I say, oh, this is some religious cult. This isn't a business. But you know what their store operators earn? The average in the industry would be $50,000. Their average store operator earns $170,000. It's actually a little more than that. But that's the average. Averages are very misleading. What about the top dozen or so? Which is what everyone aspires to. Top dozen earn over $400,000 a year running a chicken sandwich shop. Now, that's a religious cult that most people would like to join. I know, what do they put in the chicken? And I dismissed it as an oddball myself. I missed the truth. Underlying this, they run a loyalty-based operation, and it generates a set of economics that most people cannot see if they are totally blinded by the accounting metrics. Let me show you some other examples, and you'll start to see a pattern here. Enterprise Rent-A-Car, the largest car rental company in North America. How did this happen? They were a tiny little niche player in St. Louis and somehow blasted by Hertz and Avis in a low-growth business. Strategy consultants will tell you you can't do that. You can't afford to grow past your competitors in a no-growth business, and yet there's Enterprise, a private organization. The family that founded it, I'm told, is worth $10 billion today. And there's this same strange practice. I went out to St. Louis and interviewed Andy Taylor. I said, what's the key to your success? He said, well, we think loyalty is at the core of it because we figured out there's only one way to grow a business. You treat your customers so they come back for more and bring their friends. And it sounded so Midwestern. That's brilliant. I grew up in Cleveland. That's sort of the Midwest, so it appealed. What's going on here? He overpays his people. I knew Enterprise because they cost 10 or 15% less than the competitors when you rent cars as a customer. What I didn't know is that you could afford to overpay your people 30% or more, which is what Enterprise does, and charge less to your customers for those same Pontiacs and Chevrolets that everyone else is renting, a commodity, and generate $10 billion of net worth. It doesn't make sense, does it? I did ask if they closed on Sundays, and he said, a lot of our branches do. There's something going on, though. That same something is happening at Harley-Davidson. Now, I have this habit. I learned how to do word searches on the computer, and loyalty is my thing. I type in loyalty, and I'm looking for somebody in the Fortune 500 that has loyalty in their annual report. And I find that Harley has it on the cover. It says, we have the world's most loyal customers. So I called the CEO, introduced myself. He let me come visit him in Milwaukee. I sit down, and he's got this huge black leather sofa that looks like the seat from a Fat Boy motorcycle. It's all leather with rivets. And I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed but I did have the courage to say, okay, so is this just a marketing shtick, or can you prove to me? I'm from Bain. I want to see the data. Let me see your retention rate. Do you have the best retention in the industry? He said, Fred, So I said, what do you measure? He says, we measure the percentage of our customers that have our brand tattooed on some body part. Now, if only I had listened. He was telling me the secret. The secret is getting your customers to refer you. That's a better measure than retention. It took me like 10 years to figure that out. If somebody puts your brand on a body part, they're saying in the most personal way possible, I love this company, you should try them. Now, Harley investors have been very happy with this philosophy. The stock has performed in the handful of best stocks in the stock exchange for the last 15 or 20 years. The lady who runs eBay, Meg Whitman, is a former partner of ours at Bain. She came back generously to a partner meeting a few years ago, and I was sitting out in the audience like you are, and Meg, I didn't know anything about the internet at that point, except my kids spent a lot of time on it. I said, Meg, does the loyalty have anything to do with the growth and success of eBay? She stood there. She looked like I had lost my mind because we worked on a number of loyalty things, and she said, loyalty is the key ingredient in our secret sauce. If you can't get people to be loyal to a set of rules about how they treat one another, then you have no community. And our success is a community success. So I learned something very important there. Loyalty isn't about a person or a boss. It's really loyalty to a set of rules, or maybe a rule. Dell has learned this, and I think has put it to work to the detriment of their competitors. We'll talk a little bit about each of these as case studies. Costco, I heard some of you say Costco is one of your favorite companies. It's because they're so cheap, right? And give great service. Did you know that they pay far more than the competitors? It's this same crazy formula. If you go to work at Costco and stay there 3 years, you'll be earning $40,000 plus full benefits. Unheard of in retailing. Now, how do you pay that much and give rock bottom prices? Doesn't work, does it? Except you'll see that same pattern working in every one of these cases. We've been blinded to what actually drives profitable growth. Southwest didn't forget this. The Southwest, you know, has grown from this little niche joke to the largest airline, the market value equal to more than the sum of all of the other airlines in North America. How? By building loyalty among their frontline crew and their customers. Northwestern Mutual has done this in the life insurance business. In fact, there are a number of firms here we'll talk about. Could I back up once? I went just too fast, excuse me. Look a little bit at these. I want you had this breakout where you had your favorite brands. Essentially, my life over the last 20 years has been a big breakout like this because I've been looking for not just where a few people think they're great. These companies have the highest net promoter score. We'll talk about what that is. Their customers love them, and their results are quite astonishing. These companies are the ones who are outgrowing the competition. How do they do it? Here, once again show you. I missed something in school. It's so obvious. You asked the lady who is the president of Southwest, said Fred, and she said it in a polite way, but she obviously thought I had to be incredibly slow. He said, the key is the golden rule. There's no way that you can build a loyal relationship with your employees and them with their customers without honoring this simple idea of treating people the way you'd want to be treated. I said, well, she doesn't want to give me the real answer, so I'll go ask some of these other guys. I, of course, wanted 7 chapters for my next book. Four Seasons is just a different price point than Southwest Airlines, but the answer is identical. Peanuts or caviar, same answer. It's the golden rule. You build relationships worthy of loyalty by honoring this simple idea. Now, I'm going to pitch to you on a very crazy idea. I think we should measure how well we live up to the golden rule as carefully as we measure profits. I know that's a crazy idea. That's what these firms are doing. They're holding people accountable for this level of treatment of others.